use sauce with your pizza? One of the many abrupt and startling questions on my year abroad in America. Aside the daily, do you have roads back home, or do you mean you come from Bali? Because apparently the whole world identifies Indonesia as Bali. These questions, as odd and as strange as they were actually the window to a cultural gap that I had to navigate on my year abroad. To put things into context, let me first introduce myself. Hi everyone, I'm Keisha Nania Manik. And last year, I got the opportunity to be a part of a student exchange program to America. And one night, me and my host family were sitting down and we were gonna have dinner, and the menu was pizza. Consequently, I asked where the bottle of ketchup was around the house, because just like any other Indonesian, I loved to eat my pizza with tomato ketchup. But they gave me a rather weird look, and I'm not one to really care about what people think about me or what their opinions are, but this time I was genuinely curious. So I asked, what was wrong? And long story short, it turns out that it was outrageous. I was eating pizza with tomato ketchup, because where they grew up, you do not put one and one together, highly contradicting what is famously believed here in Indonesia. Thus the title of today's talk, The Culture of Eating Pizza with Sauce in Indonesia. I think I want to share with all of you the ideas I have today because I think it's pivotal. Everyone, to an extent here, understands the world we perceive as normal on a cultural and norm level is as subjective as how we see it through our eyes. It's all based on the information and the facts that we collect that constructs all of our own individual versions of normal. For example, the world we as humans experience and what dogs experience are different. On the left side, you're able to see what we humans usually see. It's clear, a lot of contrasting colors, and that's because we mainly use our sense of sight. On the contrary, on the right side, you're able to see what dogs usually see. It's a little bit more blurry, less contrasting, and a little bit more toned down. But that's because they rely on their sense of smell in comparison to the sight. Though they both differ, they both have their own subjective interpretation of what the world looks like on a day-to-day basis. And the same concept applies to us human as we perceive as what is normal on a cultural and norm level. And all our echo chambers play a prominent role in this. And you don't even need to be on the other side of the world to see this play out. Just see the people you're closest to. Your friends, teachers, parents, siblings, you're already different. Maybe their version of a normal dinner is at 5 p.m. Meanwhile, yours is an ungodly 9 p.m. after you've taken a nap, done your homework, gone to the showers. Whose version is right? There is no answer. Basically, the existence of normal is virtually non-existent. We all live in our own little bubbles. And the quicker we are to acknowledge that, the better we'll be able to navigate new environments with a more open mind. But let's be honest, we're gonna meet people who are different from us anyways, maybe have conflicting opinions with us. What do you do then? A technique I was taught was dive. And no, it's not when you jump into the ocean and you swim down with all those little fishes. It's DIVE. First, you describe what you see on a physical, shallow level. Where are they? What are they doing? What are the objects around them? Let's use an example to make this a little bit more clear, shall we? One of the cultural shocks I experienced was students there not calling their teachers with their honorifics. So they just skipped to their last name, which obviously at that point I didn't know was normal, but we're gonna use this example anyways. So what did I see? I saw a student raising their hands up in class and a teacher coming over to help them. Which brings me to my second step of interpreting. Using your prior knowledge, you somewhat come up with a logical explanation as to why the person is doing what they are doing. And remember, you cannot tell anyone about your interpretation because you don't know if it's right or wrong. You don't want to create any unnecessary misunderstandings or unnecessary stereotypes. In my case, I interpret as, oh, this person needs help on a question they're having a hard time on, and they're trying to gain the teacher's attention for them to come and help them out. Which leads me to my third step of verifying. You actually need to go to someone who knows about the topic or is a specialist to see if your interpretation is right or wrong. In my case, I just went to a friend. I just asked them, is this normal? And turns out it's actually pretty normal there to do that. It actually shows that you're close to your teachers, and that's why you're on a last name basis. And now that you know what is actually going on, how do you feel about it? Which leads me to my last step of evaluating. Is it something that sits right with you? Is it something you want to do? And again, there are no right or wrong answers because this is all just your own personal opinion. Because even in my case, I never really adopted the dropping honorifics culture because, frankly, we grew up in Indonesia where we are taught to always use honorifics like Mr. and Mrs. to show that, oh, we respect you as our teachers. These techniques are actually very effective in engaging with culture shock because it lets you engage with new cultures, but in a more thoughtful manner in approaching them. So, then pops the question, is doing something new a wrong thing? Of course not. I would even argue that it's a rejuvenating experience to be a beginner at something and doing it for the first time. People these days tend to stick to what they're good at because they love the comfort that it gets when you put an effort into something and getting positive results out of it. For example, if you're good at tennis, then whenever you get the opportunity to play a sport, you're probably gonna pick to play tennis. Why would you even learn the countless swimming techniques when you can perfectly serve with a tennis racket? Meanwhile, it's good to be a beginner from time to time. Being a beginner is overall a humbling experience, to say the least. It teaches you to be patient, and it teaches you to be resilient. Because you're not gonna get it right the first time. It might take a couple of tries, days, or even weeks before you get it right the first time. But you learn to be accomplished over those little obstacles you're able to go through. And to add on, when you're a beginner, you're most likely gonna use different approaches to solving issues because you had no prior knowledge of how it should have been done, which leads to more innovative ideas. And, bonus point, you're probably gonna be more inclined to input and asking a question. In this day and age where we're all so scared to raise our hands up in class because we're scared to be looked down upon, we like to overlook how important and valuable people insights actually are. Meanwhile, a very effective way in learning something is by listening to a specialist experience. Because that means you don't even have to start from 0 again. You can start from 2 or 3. And all those little habits you accumulate as a beginner, you can apply that to your everyday lives. And as they say, life is a roller coaster with its ups and downs. People's comment about you have the same nature. Sometimes they're positive, but sometimes they're negative. And the key to facing those situations is to not take it personally. When somebody says something bad about you, you get offended, you get sad, and then you start to argue why they're wrong and why you're right. Meanwhile, this whole issue could have been prevented if you just took a step back and analyzed this problem objectively. If you have ever watched Princess Diaries 1 a million times, like I did, you would know this quote here. You can never feel inferior without your own consent. To be upset over a negative comment means that you, to an extent, agree to it. Meanwhile, if you're an amazing singer, and you know that, then you don't have to pay attention to those little negative comments under your video saying that you're a horrible singer, because you know you're an amazing singer. But that's not to say that you block out all negative comments. Negative comments given by credible people, like teachers, mentors, colleagues, usually what we call constructive criticism, is a great chance for you to reflect on your growth and skill. Basically, you have to use all sort of comments, positive or negative, to reach higher levels. And you might be wondering what I decided to do after they gave me all those weird looks from grabbing the ketchup. I decided to follow through with my plans anyway. I still ate it with my ketchup, because after I thought about it, there's really no harm being done. But I also communicated as to why I have such habits. How in Indonesia, if you go to any Domino's, Pizza Hut, or pizza chain, any really, you'll be greeted with a bottle of ketchup and chili sauce at your table. So if anything, if we were gonna run this situation by my version of normal, they're the weird ones here. But they also explained to me where they were coming from, how when they grew up, their grandma said that you cannot put one and one together. It's basically like a public secret not to put them together. What I wanted to highlight here is that these are the types of communication and conversation that will prevent unnecessary misunderstandings between people who have different opinions and backgrounds. These are the types of conversation that will foster empathy and tolerance, both qualities highly needed in our very diverse and polarized society. And that's your 101 guide to navigating the world of Culture Shock. Thank you.